The Property Council is Australia's leading advocate for the property industry. Of course, Australia has a $600 billion property industry. So, of course, what we do is we advocate for our members to make sure that we get the right policy settings and we get the right results for our membership. Now, here in South Australia, the property and construction industries boast 11.5% of the state's workforce. That's the biggest private sector workforce in South Australia. We boast 10% of GSP, and of course this industry pays 40% of the state's taxation revenue. Not only that, but 500,000 South Australians are benefited positively by a growing, healthy, strong property industry through their superannuation funds here in South Australia. South Australia's population growth rate of 0.9% isn't good enough. The national average is about 1.7%, so we're trailing by almost half the national average. Now, of course, what South Australia needs right now is a strong economy, and that is closely aligned to a growing population rate. So, of course, here in South Australia, the government, the state government, did set a target in its state strategic plan. That target was 2 million by 2027. Now, to get there from today, we'd need 24,000 people every single year for the next 13 years. Now, South Australia's best year on record was 19,000. Last year we had 15,000. We'd have to break the record every year for the next 13 years, of course, to get to 24,000 for each and every year up until 2027. Now, it's great that the state government has a target in place, but of course what the government needs to be doing is maintaining its targets. It's important for South Australia's economy right now. It's important for job creation. But if we are going to put targets in place for population growth, then we need to meet those targets. We need to be serious about population growth, because what we need in spades right now is a strong economy and job creation. For the property industry, it's about demand. It's about serious demand in the property industry, whether it's commercial building supply, residential supply, whether it's industrial component of this industry. What we need is demand. Now, of course, if you look across Adelaide's skyline at the moment, you notice one very obvious thing, and that is that we have a very flat profile. We don't build great buildings, we don't build many buildings, and of course that is because we don't have the population to support basically a growing CBD. We don't have a great population to support this industry right now the way that it could be supported. Now, if we fail to recognise that people are one of our core assets, then we're allowing other jurisdictions to capitalise by taking our people, taking our innovation, and importantly taking our tax revenue at a time when we do seriously need to grow that revenue base. Now, for the property industry, there are often two discussions that circulate. One is about tax reform, the other is about population growth. Now, this industry can thrive, it will thrive as long as we address those two very serious issues: taxation reform and population growth. Look, in South Australia right now, we're faced by a number of challenges. One is a slow population growth rate, and two is an ageing population, and three is the exodus of our best and brightest from South Australia to Melbourne, to Sydney, to Perth, to Brisbane. When you combine these three serious issues, we're faced with a medium-term, serious economic challenge. Now, of course, South Australia last year, from memory, lost about 4,000 people from South Australia to the eastern seaboard. Now, this is predominantly for two reasons: one, lifestyle opportunities, and two, career opportunities. Now, in Adelaide, over the past 12 to 18 months, the government has done well in addressing some of these lifestyle factors. We're giving young people a reason to be proud of South Australia. We're giving young people a reason to want to live and stay in South Australia. Now, of course, things like the Adelaide Oval, things like the laneway activation, small bar licences, which of course mean that you've got great small bars popping up all across Adelaide. But of course, what we need to now focus on is that really serious issue, and that is career opportunities. Now, of course, South Australia doesn't have many headquartered businesses here in Adelaide. We need more. South Australia is losing its best and brightest to the eastern seaboard. Well, we need to stop that. We need to stem the brain drain and give people a number of reasons to stay in South Australia, and one of those is tax reform. Now, the federal government and the state government have both committed to reforming the state's taxation system. We think that needs to start with abolishing stamp duty. Now, of course, stamp duty is an impediment to labour mobility, which of course, in many ways is going to prevent a number of people from wanting to sell their house. Now, what we're seeing is a trend in renovation rather than buying and selling. So it's time to take the axe to stamp duty and of course have a serious look at tax reform. And of course what this will do long term is retain our revenue base. And if we have more people here, the revenue base is going to be even healthier. Look, the property industry would like to see the state government address the English language requirements for migrants. Right now, the state government's position seems to be that they want to strengthen those English language requirements, where the property industry thinks that we should relax them. Now, there's a number of components that comprise the regional migration program. This is certainly one for us that's at the forefront. Right now, South Australia is in a talent competition, not only with the rest of Australia, but the rest of the world. And of course, that means that business and government need to come together to ensure that South Australia has the right economic settings in place to ensure that we're driving the economy and creating jobs.